men operate at the extremes of society anyways. There's more
Hmm.
men who are billionaires and CEOs than there are women, and there's more men who are homeless and in prison and dead
Correct.
historically than there are women. World War II, it wasn't a ton of women dying on the front lines. It was
Correct.
men. Vietnam, Korean War, World War One, the Civil War, it was men dying. So men typically operate at the extremes of society in most cases already. And so, of course, when you add skin color to it, it just kind of magnifies due to certain societal factors. Whereas if you're raised in the hood, you're probably aiming for either death or prison already.
Correct.
And the numbers alone, especially if you're born to a single mother, your probability of being successful in society as a just a contributing member, tax paying member who owns a business or just works a job and supports their family, having a family in general, you're already operating behind the eight ball just because
Right.
of where you're born and the circumstances surrounding your birth. So I do agree that there are a lot of factors to play. And I think white supremacy is still there. I'm not saying it's completely done away with or it's gone or doesn't exist. I'm not arguing that whatsoever. But I think we can't simply blame that one thing
Oh
as the
no.
causal factor for
Mm-mm.
everything. I think
No, no,
I
no.
think because we started behind the eight ball because of slavery, like we weren't the first people to be enslaved, so we're just the latest to be enslaved. So of course we get the oppression points. I'm like, yeah, we're the latest, so you got to put us on top of the hierarchy of oppression. So I'm not trying to minimize that whatsoever. It's just the fact that as we increase in opportunity and we're almost leveled out in terms of you can invest, I can invest, you got degrees. I mean, we have a lot of the same opportunities, if not all the same opportunities. And if anything, there might be a gatekeeper in terms of if I want to work for this company, that person gets to decide who works for the company, and that's their
Right.
preference. But we call it discrimination only because of our perspective. Their perspective is, as a CEO or employer, it's my preference to hire this type of person. Whereas the person applying, they can claim discrimination, racism, sexism, lookism, all these different things. And I don't think they're wrong. I just think they can't know that for sure, for 100% certainty. And so I think there's a lot of variables at play. And I think most people have paused at causation. And I think that's so reckless and it's speculative to immediately go
Yeah.
to causation and say, this is the causal variable as to
Correct.
why this is happening. When I'm like, no, I think it's a few, if not hundreds of variables that go into this. And if you pull back the veil and if you zoom out enough, you can properly see there's all these different circumstances that came together to create your situation. And it just happens to be a lot of us are born in that funnel. Whereas if all the people that are born in the hood, especially the single mothers, especially as Roe versus Wade is implemented, again, I think there's a lot of variables to account for. But and I will say this in favor of conspiracies surrounding white supremacy, what have you. I think there's an incentive to keep us down, mainly because we are angry for a reason. You don't enslave people, and then they just come out and
Of
say, you know
course.
what, they freed us, bruh. So we gonna let bygones be bygones.
Of
I think
course.
there's an anger, underlying anger that we have, and it benefits us because the same way we operate and we take over prisons in terms of population, we also take over anything that benefits aggression, such as the most popular sports in America. We are 12% of the population. We are 53% of the NFL. We are 73% of the NBA. How is that possible? Unless those industries and those environments they value aggression. Anywhere that aggression is valued, you will see us at the top. Mike Tyson, the best boxer, Mayweather, the best boxer, any sport that requires, like, you look at the Winter Olympics, you don't see no black people over there skiing and snowboarding, not only because it's hella expensive, but because there's no aggression. It's gravity, it's skill based. But whenever you see, and the one area that I don't see a lot of black people in, which could benefit from aggression, is CrossFit. And a lot of people don't even know about CrossFit. I'm a huge fan of the sport, especially watching it. But yeah, it's just working out. It's just fitness. And there are a lot of black people that are physical specimens that is just you won the genetic lottery. But in areas where it's kind of hard to compete, you're just competing with numbers and gravity in terms of CrossFit. You don't see a lot of black people over there. But you see how black people have a lot of advantages, but disadvantages as well. Like America is a very young country, so in the same way that we benefit from diversity, we also suffer because of diversity. And when we go to war, we have every nation represented in our armies. You go to China, you see the army. You go to North Korea and see the army. It's all North Koreans. It's all Koreans. So I think we benefit from diversity. We suffer by diversity, and I think it's just we have growing pains because we're trying to balance all of these different cultures in one melting pot and say, all right, so the Italians want this the Italians want spaghetti for dinner, the black folk want chicken and rice for dinner, the Mexicans want tacos for dinner, white people want eggs Benedict and salmon for dinner, and like everyone's arguing over stuff, and I'm like, all right,
Right.
what can we all eat that we enjoy? You know what? Don't worry about it. Let's make a food court. Just make a food court, and everyone go where they want to go. And we have all these different, circumstances that we're trying to navigate, and no one has a direct answer for it outside of, bruh, mind your business, try to get along, just do the best you can.